if you're watching this podcast, okay, and this is for you too, who is like, oh, Demar only cares about the music, people who are like 20 years old, 22 years old.
Why am I catching it straight?
All the new shit.
Why did I catch it straight?
He only listens to new music. He only cares about new music. No,
that's not
no
you.
respect for old music. I'm not here, guys. I was listening to the old shit, bro. I listen to old music.
You fucking love disco. I know you don't only listen to the new shit.
Right? So that's what she sounds like to me. That song's particular is what reminded me of Nancy Wilson.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. Everyone watching this on YouTube, make sure you like this video, share this video, and of course, make sure you're subscribed. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather. And we're here with His Royal Highness, a.k.a. The Bunny, King Grant.
What's happening, people? We're back. It's Album Mode. We're talking about the famous Jorja Smith and her latest album, Falling or Flying, right? Something that snuck up on me. I would say that earnestly. I feel like I'm not tapped into the Jorja Smith sphere too deeply. And, we were going to do, I suggested Cleo Soul. Mm-hmm. This is the second time in a row Cleo Soul has gotten snubbed on the album.
If we're being real, it's actually the fourth time.
Is it really?
But who's counting?
I feel like, the thing is with Cleo Soul is that we appreciate her music very much so because it always gets brought up. But then there's always somebody of a larger magnitude that is releasing on the same week.
Yeah. I think this would have been the one to do Cleo Soul just because she has the back-to-back drops.
Yeah.
And Salt dropped that 3-pack, which we didn't talk about at all. But Mother was the one I think we missed up.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, me too. I do think,
Mother, I could tell that was going to be a big project when it dropped. But, listen, we're learning. We're learning. So,
Cleo Soul, we love you. But we're going to do this Jorja Smith one.
Some more than others.
Hey, hold on a second. Don't cover me with Cleo Soul slander, okay?
Cleo Soul slander. I'm screaming.
I genuinely appreciate her, but we're doing Jorja Smith.
Yes.
Falling or Flying. I think Jorja Smith for me, is very has been very much a features artist. For a long time. I don't really listen to Jorja Smith's like solo work, unless it's a feature. Like she's doing a feature on somebody's thing, or it's like a remix. Like I like the remixes for her songs.
Yeah, she has really good remixes.
Yes, but like when it's like, oh, did you hear that latest Jorja Smith album? It's usually no, I have not heard it. But I have been in the verse.
Okay,
like I orbit her, but I have not landed on the planet.
You know she exists.
Yeah,
Drake. It's a name you've seen before.
Drake put me on. Ages ago.
Okay.
Ages ago, when she was like 18 or something like that.
You know what? That's not horrible.
Yeah.
To be put on by Drake to Jorja Smith.
That was literally like 5-6 years ago.
No, for sure. And I'm sure you're not the only one. So we're not going to have you lose points for that. Myself, I'm a big Jorja Smith fan. I've been kind of, I don't want to say worried, but a little skeptical about what's been going on with her career because this is her first album in 5 years. And when Lost and Found came out in 2018.
Oh, I heard Lost and Found. Okay, so I'm here. I'm in it.
There you go.
I'm in it.
There you go.
I'm in it.
When Lost and Found came out in 2018, that was like one of the biggest breakout albums from that year. And I don't know if all these songs charted in the UK, but I call this kind of like the social media chart where an album comes out, everyone listens to the full album, you know, and everyone's into the full album where people have like 8-9 different favorite songs from it. Astroworld, even though it did chart, was kind of like that, where everyone had 9 different favorite songs. Yeah. Lost and Found was of that ilk, but it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years since we got something for her. How would you say you would compare this sound to her last sound? Because we don't usually talk about that on the project specifically, but I think because it's been so much time, but she's still been in the forefront. She's had these remixes, these features that have been, we haven't forgot about Jorja Smith as much, even though there hasn't been that much solo music. So how would you compare, where she is at now to 2018.
I think when I think about Jorja Smith's music, it really is so strictly center of the pack, like straight and arrow R&B that I remember, right? Because it was 5 years ago. I didn't. Unfortunately, I did not go back and listen to the last album to have the full reference for this question. But when I think about Jorja Smith's music, it's very strict R&B. Great vocalist, awesome vocalist, but her music overall is not. It doesn't like really fully like move me like that.
Wow.
Right? I think that her vocals are awesome. But when it comes to her production, I'm like, her past production, sorry. I felt like I heard a million types of songs produced like this.
That's very interesting.
For Jorja Smith. Is that not true?
I don't feel like that. No.
You don't think so?
Who does she remind you of?
It might trip it out. Maybe I'm like totally misremembering what Jorja Smith's music is like, but it seems so normal, regular R&B, but her vocals are what stand out.
I would say maybe she reminds of people from the past, because I think she does have that like Caribbean edge to her music. It's even more on this one, I think, in some places. But she has some of that Caribbean edge with some of her guitars and the sounds.
Yeah.
And it is more of that, like, I would say soul instead of traditional R&B. I would say she's pretty different. If you're comparing her to her American counterparts, there's not anyone who kind of production-wise is like her. I think she's really, in her own place in that way.
Okay.
I think on this project, there definitely was more of a get up and dance Jorja Smith.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is the thing I think, talk about Olivia Rodrigo, sometimes your perception of how people view your music can sometimes not even be close to what's really happening. And she's one of those, I think people think of her as like slow R&B songs, more ballads than anything.
Yep.
I think about a song like Lifeboats Freestyle, where she's basically rapping on that. Bless you.
Thank you.
It's basically 3 minutes of rapping. And it's like, I'm sure many people don't know or think of Jorja Smith as like having a rap song, on her album. So I feel like this album is the time when people are going to become more aware of her different production styles, of her versatility. Because I think that, again, she was definitely put in that, space of a lot of ballads, a lot of slow songs, when that really hasn't been her MO this whole time. But I think, again, that's just what...
That's where I am right now.
Yeah, that's what she's known for. And so I think, like, this is a time where people are going to, I think, understand more that's not what she's always been. I thought of someone we probably a few months ago now reviewed Ray.
Yeah.
And Ray's project,
a few months ago.
both out of the UK. And Ray went down this, pop lane in certain places.
Yeah.
But in certain places, didn't.
It was like 2000s R&B, I felt like.
Yeah, in certain places.
Yeah.
It's like 2000s R&B, or it might be more into the pop lane.
Yeah.
I feel like Jorja Smith is really figuring out her own mix of that. Because, like you said, someone like you who, quote unquote, are aware of Jorja Smith, quote unquote, heard Lost and Found.
I'm aware. I'm up.
It's
I'm up, baby.
People are thinking of her in this light of, it's like, I think people think of her more similar to Caliucci's in terms of sound, when I don't really see them as that similar, in terms of production style.
No.
But I think people view them that way of she makes slower songs, that kind of energy. So this album, off of first listen, I was like, okay, the perception of Jorja Smith is going to change with this one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So now that you brought this all to the forefront, first of all, I don't think Caliucci has a defined sound. Yes. When I listened to this album, Falling or Flying, my initial thought was like, okay, she doesn't have a defined sound, and she's kind of looking for it right now. Because when I listen to this, I'm like, for me, honestly, I'm like, is she even is Jorja Smith making the wrong type of music? When I listen to her vocalization, right, I legit think she should be like an electronic artist.
Really?
Like a dance artist. Yeah. When I listen to Little Things, and it's basically a UK garage track.
Yeah.
Love the pianos on that. Love the BPM is up. Is huge. Like, I don't know what, I probably should have put that into like a calculator, but the BPM is probably the fastest song she's ever did.
It's up there for sure.
Yeah, and I think her vocals stand out from it, but also, the piano, the dun 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 dun, and then like, you got the claps and the bass is driving it. Like, there's a lot of like instrumentation pushing it.
Yes,
bass.
yes.
And I think her vocals kind of just like are able to like elevate the entire track. But I definitely think that what's happening that's most interesting is the production in that song, right? Her vocals are a big time added ingredient, but those two things in correspondence with each other are the biggest deal, which I'm like, that's what makes a good like house track.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So I'm like, when I listen to all the songs and I listen to Little Things, I'm like, why don't you just make I'm a piano house
A full album of this?
garage? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, is she making the wrong? That's my hot take. I was bringing up to you earlier. I'm like, I think she might be making the wrong genre of music.
I'm not gonna get with you on that
right?
one.
Because I even heard this, and then there's the remix or the mashup with this and Gypsy Woman, which sounds perfect. Like that's like a perfect song for her.
Yeah.
Right? And then again, just reinforcing my thought. I'm like, I think she should be making electronic music. I don't think she should be making R&B.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get with you on that one. I think that's just. I think it's where you're coming from as a Jorja Smith fan.
I don't know. Like when I that's the best song. That is the Little Things is the best song to me. Not even close.
I'm not with you on that one. That's the best song. But I think this is part of I'm saying people are gonna know her for other production now. Is like Little Things is not away from what Jorja Smith usually is done.
Right.
I think that people are gonna hear that now and be like, okay, now let's get up. When it's like she's always had that and. Go back to Doja Cat last week, Jackman a few months ago, of these artists kind of rewriting their own narrative in terms of how they're perceived, how their music is perceived. Yeah, I think this is a huge part of that. I think of Tyler at the beginning of his career, people thought of Tyler's music was just as it's dark, it's edgy, it's raunchy, it's and it's like there was some of that for sure, but there was other things in that. And I think it took Tyler, 3-4 albums for people to realize, okay, that's not all he does. Yeah. And I think, just feeling more equipped now, more astute, and being kind of, students of what's happened before, they're not waiting till album 5 to be like, oh, y'all still think I only do this? Like Jackman, right away. Jorja Smith, album 2. Yeah. Y'all know this is not what we only do. So I just like to see her get the love for those parts because I think she's one of the most versatile in R&B. What's happened a lot in R&B the past few years is the production has gone to a new place, more hip-hop influence than it's ever been. Yeah. And not just hip-hop, whether it's dance hall, reggae, a bunch of influences in R&B right now. But the vocals have been boring. That this whole whisper singing style, a lot of people who can kind of half sing. Yeah. It's been boring. Jorja Smith is still from the old school where her vocal performance has really good. Has something dynamic to it in basically every song. And I think about Little Things like
who she reminds me of?
Who?
And I even looked this up before this entire thing. Nancy Wilson. She is a singer from the 1960s. Okay. Right?
That's a good one.
And her voice had that same type of snap to it when she sings.
I said that strength. Like
when I listened to Nancy Wilson, I remember the first time I heard Nancy Wilson's music was like a year or 2 years ago. Yeah. Shout out to Chilling with the Oldies people on Clubhouse when they introduced me to that. Scotty, shout out to Scotty. They have that same like snap to like it's a crispness to their music when they sing. That it's like there's a strength, but it's also like I don't know how else to describe it other than like snap, crispness. Like it's something that most singers in R&B don't have that. Like I feel like singers in R&B they draw out a lot of the vocals or letters in their words. She's just like every single word has a particular ending to the words. Yep. And that's what it reminds me of Nancy Wilson a lot. So
that's big praise.
Yeah, 1960s, bro. There's nobody. If you're watching this podcast, okay, and this is for you too, who is like, oh, Demar only cares about the music. People who are like 20 years old, 22 years old.
Why am I catching it straight?
All the new shit.
Why did I catch it straight?
He only listens to new music. He only cares about new music.
No, that's not
no respect for old music. I'm not hearing, guys. I was listening to the old shit, bro. I listen to old music.
You fucking love disco. I know you. You don't only listen to the new shit,
right? So that's what she sounds like to me. That song's particular is what reminded me of Nancy Wilson. Right, and Nancy Wilson also does not make R&B, not R&B music. No. So again, I'm like all of these other things. I'm like, I don't know if she she should be making R&B. I feel like she's making. I don't think she should be here.
No, I think she's right where she's supposed to be.
I don't think she should be here.
I think she's supposed to be. I think again, her production, very guitar driven.
Yeah,
this is like a smorgasbord of guitars, all over this project. Now, Falling or Flying, that was one of the, I don't say singles, but it came out in like a little EP a month before the project. That style of drumming, there's real drums in that. It's more of like, we kind of say it's like a hung back style where it's kind of like almost a beat behind. And then the guitars in that are just, rolling all over the bass in that as well. That's almost from a different era. Like, you don't hear a bass line run through an R&B song in the same way anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's been lost completely. Brent Fayez does that a bit, but he also hates drums.
That's
so
right.
that's my guy for sure. So it is a little bit different, but I do think that a song like Falling or Flying, even though that tempo is a little slower than some of the R&B right now, not a song you can necessarily dance to. It is more of like, you're playing this on your ones, more of that energy. There's not that many R&B artists I see doing a Falling or Flying. I think of all the R&B albums we've reviewed or talked about this year, a Falling or Flying is not happening that often. And she has a couple of variations of that where it is that like heavy bass guitar driven.
Yeah.
It is like, I say it's reggae influence in a sense, because when you first do learn to play reggae, like that bass guitar is all you hear. Like, you don't hear a chord for a little bit. So I think that production style is what makes her music unique in a sense. And that's why I think she's in this place that she's supposed to be in, because you're talking about an R&B artist. Not all R&B artists are making little things. So that is already, a feather in her cap. But a Falling or Flying, we haven't heard Summer Walker do that. We haven't heard her do that. Janelle Monáe hasn't done that. Like, people kind of dive in and have their take on certain things. But I think that this production style, and also I think it's a UK thing, if I'm being honest. I think that's 100% a UK thing. And that, Jamaican, Caribbean influence being a part of the production, because in America, unless you really are from that, you're not putting that into your production style.
Yeah, you got to be from Little Jamaica, New York or something.
100, and even then. So I think there are some stuff on here where it's like, she's definitely showing her range in a way that sometimes I don't love, but I appreciate she's doing it. But this is the exact song I always think of like, where's the other lead R&B artist, woman in America who's doing, either of these two, A Little Things or Falling or Flying. Yeah. Because I think if there's any other artist, these two songs would be their singles, And, this is like, just what she does at this point. It's not like, oh, I can't believe she made a little thing. I can believe it. Very believable. And same for Falling or Flying.
Yeah. I definitely believe she could be making little things. I think that Falling or Flying, I don't know. It never did it for me. Like those songs of Jorja Smith, like those slower tempo ones, just leave me cold.
That's crazy.
I can't, like, it really is just like, it washes over me and I'm just like, okay. Like, it doesn't do it for me. I'm like, it's kind of hard to,
part 10 of Demar hating slow songs.
But I love The Weeknd and Caliucci.
Which makes no sense.
The Weeknd's my favorite artist ever, and I love Caliucci, bro. I brought the record.
Listen to The Morning the other day. Yeah. I thought about The Weeknd being your favorite artist, and I was like, Demar was raised right. Like,
my cousin would say the opposite. But I don't know. Those songs leave me cold, but just because I feel like the song isn't really going anywhere. I think that her vocals are always great. Yeah. Always. I can't really think of a time that her vocals are not good on a song. But it's just like,
you want a crescendo, a build up?
I want something. Like, for example, Backwards.
Okay.
Right? Where it's got a little bit more gallop in the hi-hats, right? It's almost drill. Like, it's like kind of like drill hi-hats. It's got the guitar. It's almost like, the guitar reminds me of like Juice WRLD guitars.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? One. But see, there's more happening, right? There's more things happening. And I feel like when she's like singing and like through the chorus, she has like the background vocals that are like elevating her own vocals as well. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like there's a little bit more juice. So maybe I'm just like an oppo like Jorja Smith fan, where just like total opposite. Like all this shit. I bet you every Jorja Smith fan is like, oh, Adriel is like knows exactly what you're talking about, and then and then it comes to me and they're like, what the fuck is this dude talking about? But I'm telling you,
for sure. Because to me, I like Backwards a lot. So it's one of my songs I had in here that I had like highlighted.
Yeah,
but Backwards to me is like, is similar to Falling or Flying, different fonts. It's like
I don't even think so.
I think those drill drums is like a very cool addition.
Yeah,
production wise, like most people would not think to do that, but I honestly I think we're in two different places here because I feel like those slower Jorja Smith songs.
Okay, how about this? Tell me which songs you like. Which songs are like you got the heart from, or like which ones really moved you?
She Feels, Little Things, Feelings. Okay. Falling or Flying. Okay. Greatest Gift. Broken. Okay. Yeah. Broken is a Man.
Broken is a Man.
What If My Heart Beats Faster? Backwards.
Okay. See, pop. I like Try Me.
Yeah.
She Feels.
Yep.
Right. And I even like Feelings as well. But see what I'm getting at? Like all of those tracks are not. Those are not the traditional R&B tracks. And the other ones that you're mentioning are more R&B centric, let's say.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? But a song like Feelings is, again, like almost like a Afro beats, like Afrobeat central, basically.
Yeah.
And She Feels, I would say, is a little bit more in the R&B space, but it's a little bit more 2000s R&B, right? So I feel like it is. It's not. Current R&B does not sound like She Feels, bro.
No. I think you're right about where She Feels lands.
Yeah.
My thing is more just about your disdain for these songs. It's just really.
Is that weird? I guess it's weird. I'm actually really looking forward to the response to this because.
Well, here's the thing. Two things, because I think production wise, these songs are so full in terms of using real instruments, the layering, and let's go back to a song called Falling or Flying.
Yeah.
That song reminds me a lot of Damage by her. Okay. This is one of her biggest records. Still not a big song. There's maybe a little more crescendo in that song. But I think that style of music that kind of stays at a certain tempo, brings you into a certain space. I think that's where Jorja Smith really, really thrives. I think that there's an immersive quality to a lot of her music.
Yeah.
And I think that I think that's part of why she hasn't been like necessarily a pop darling in the same sense, because there's more feeling in her music. But I think it's interesting that you don't like those as much, because I think there's just a real like.
I don't like those at all.
At all is all is pretty crazy.
I don't like. I can tell you right now, like Falling or Flying, I don't like it. Try and Fit In, don't care. Broken is the Man, I think that's the worst track. I think that's the worst track. And then What If My Heart Beats Faster? Who cares?
Wow.
Right? Like these, like I don't know. That's why I'm like I feel like my brain on Jorja Smith is like the opposite of everybody else.
But I just feel like your R&B likes is very different,
Yeah, like, maybe.
Yeah, and as well, this is a very like what this album actually like. The fact that it could give this album type, even though there's so much different sounds on here.
Yeah, that's also part of it too.
It really reminds me of like when you get those tapes for all your remote tapes and those CDs with the Jamaican artist covering. The first cut is the deepest, or insert. That's what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah,
that's the energy that these songs have, and it's like, I also think like that comes from like I think you had to have like a certain home of music of that like Caribbean sound, that mix. You know what I mean? As I say, it's this very UK thing because I think in the UK people are more into that, where it makes a lot more sense. It's like. Is the few times we've had an American artist mixed with that kind of sound, it's a whole deal, and this is just makes it very normal. Greatest Gift is a song that I like a lot. Greatest Gift is a song that's basically a reggae song. Like, you could put Damian Marley on this and you wouldn't think twice. Like, is it basically a reggae song? And again, that's like the bullet in the chamber for me that I see. Like, no one else is doing this. Like. Make your list of the top women in R&B. None of them have a Greatest Gift. That is just not happening. And forget about the production. Her vocal performance on Greatest Gift, I think is very impressive as well. So To me, you're right. There are some things that someone like you might not like. They might not love all the reggae influence or the reggae R&B together.
First of all, hang on a second. Wait a minute.
I'm thinking about your Jamaican card
Yeah,
right
what is
now.
going on here? What is going on?
But I think that sound is one unique in the R&B space for sure. And as well, I think it really sets her apart because, it's almost closer to traditional R&B in a sense than a lot of people are doing, even though it's not traditional R&B at all.
Yeah.
There's some, similarities there. So to me, Greatest Gift is one of the big highlights of this project.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to each their own, because I think that what's a song that I think that is really good, but is not in that frame is earlier Feelings with J Hus.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah, that's a good song.
I think J Hus is low key ruining it by rapping, but I think his like weepy singing,
or like in the hook,
is good though.
Yeah. That alone would be fine.
Yeah,
I didn't need a verse.
Exactly.
I feel bad saying that.
Me too.
But I didn't need that verse.
Help the verse. Just give me the song weepy part, and that was like the highlight of the song to me. So I think we're just looking at it from two different frames. I think.
Yes.
I really just think that. First, I just want to clear this I grew up in a house that has a Bob Marley painting just in it. Like since day one, like this massive Bob Marley painting.
Try something else. I feel like there's a lot of white houses that have a Bob Marley painting.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely, just in the middle of their house.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Regardless, I'm like pretty much I think when I think of reggae music, I think of foundation reggae. Right? I don't really listen to new reggae music. I listen to reggae from like the 2000s, like early 2000s and like 90s.
Even before that, yeah.
Right? And even before that, foundations even before that, right? So that's my framework for reggae music. I don't listen to new reggae. The closest to new reggae I listen to is I'm trying to think.
Janelle Monáe?
No. The Jamaican artist, she's a woman with
Coffee?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the closest thing I can really reference that I listen to new reggae.
Taking notes.
Right? So when you're talking about reggae influence, I'm like, I understand it because even like rap music today, there's similarities to rap music in the past, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with reggae. But I'm like, it's okay, right? But these other elements are way cooler to me. So I think that's where the disconnect is happening.
For sure.
Right? I don't know. I think she is Jamaican. I think Jorja Smith is Jamaican.
Yeah.
Right?
Jamaican
so
parent, yeah.
There's this weird cultural thing that's happening between the three of us. That you're like, oh yeah, this is totally reggae thing, and she's like, yeah, this is like reggae vibes. I'm like, not really. This is not real reggae vibes. Like,
no, this is not, and that's kind of why I think it's so unique.
Yeah.
Before I talk about lyrics, is like this is not real reggae.
Yeah,
real reggae is even more skeletal than some of her production.
Yeah,
is. But the reggae influence in terms of the pace, the tempo, the drum, like the reggae drums. No, you can't dance to reggae drums like that. So it behooves you to put reggae drums in the song. There's a few songs where she has legitimately put reggae drums on the song. And so it's like she's taken the parts of reggae that, give you the vibe, the energy, and added more instrumentation that you normally wouldn't get from reggae at a certain point. Yeah. So for that reason, I like it. I do think there is something about her music that is probably preventing her from being bigger as an artist. I think
what? Sorry?
Preventing her from being bigger as an artist.
No, wait, what is preventing her?
Something in her music.
Oh,
like,
okay,
I think these reggae type songs are preventing her from being bigger as an artist because I think that when it comes to like the quote unquote hits, that's not what people really want to hear.
Yeah.
I think a song like Damage from her is an outlier. That song, hers budget and Jorja Smith's budget, two very different budgets. Very different budgets. But I think that, Little Things for sure is the hit. Even Try Me, she feels more of like the hit play on the radio. But I think, again, her core fans and kind of what brought her here is the group that wants to hear Falling or Flying, Backwards, even Greatest Gift. So I think there's something there in terms of her switching it up. But I think she does a great job, basically all the sounds that she tries. One last thing for production. This is my last note. Yeah. And this reminds me of the Burna Boy album because City Boys was a single. That's my least favorite song on that album. Okay. That's my song that I skip every single time. Go, Go, Go
Yep.
is also a song I skip every single time.
Yeah, that one's a little bit weird to me.
And it was a single, you know.
Yeah.
And I think this song is not bad on its own. I just don't want Jorja singing this song. I think this song could have been on a few different albums that we've talked about and would have, sat well. I don't think this belongs on a Jorja Smith album.
I agree. But also in isolation, I was like, oh, this works. Like, I feel like it works. Again, her ability as a vocalist allows her to do a lot of genres, right? And I was like, she can make a rock song. That's a real thing for her.
Yeah.
Something that I never thought Jorja Smith would be doing straight up.
Definitely.
Literally never. If somebody tried to convince me, it would take ages. But I was kind of surprised by it. And I was like, okay, like, it actually makes sense. Like, it sounded decent to me. Right. And I can just hear Jorja Smith fans being like, what is this person talking about? But I think it worked. No, I just think it doesn't, or I think its placement on the album also is just like in a weird spot. It's like the 5th or 6th song, something like that. And nothing else around it sounds like it. It's just weird.
It also adds to the lack of cohesion on this project.
Absolutely.
Like, she has a bunch of sounds, so it's almost like Drake in a way where it's like, you're not going to get one sound. It's just not happening from Jorja Smith. But putting Go 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 right in the middle of everything is like, we're really not getting no flow here.
So you're gonna put it on the end, dude. You could have done the Drake thing where you just have like the song that sounds like nothing else at the very
Hotline
end.
Bling.
Yeah. Hotline Bling. Or what was the Honestly Nevermind had that one song at the end.
Oh, the 21 Savage song? Jimmy Cooks?
Yeah, exactly. So like, I didn't even realize that's like such a major thing in Drake's albums. But yeah, she could have done that and it would have been okay.
It was a good single though. I think as a single, it makes sense. Like, this album is 16 songs. If I have Go 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 in the tuck before his album comes out, as a single is the best place for it to go. So
true, that's true.
Got to give them that credit. Do you have any other production? Because I have one set of lyrics here.
Production wise, not really. I think the cohesion thing we mentioned, that is it's suffering from the cohesion thing. That is not that. I don't even what are we talking about?
yeah, it's huge.
There's too many different genres. We're talking about a rock song, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this would be a sick house track, garage track, R&B, traditional R&B. There's shit flying everywhere.
Yeah.
So the cohesion is not good. Like, it just
not there.
Yeah, it's just not there at all. It's non-existent. But overall production wise, I mean, I was happy overall with the production.
But
yeah, I was happy overall.
Okay.
But there was like the slight parts that I'm like, I want the expansive version of her versus what everybody else seemingly wants, I guess.
Yeah, you want 10 Little Things.
Yeah, dude. Is that not sick, bro? That song is so sick.
I think we're talking about lyrics, but I like Little Things.
Yeah.
But I don't want that to be what she does.
Oh.
Who has been the good credible artist who that's just what they do? Like, every artist who's good on that sound does something else. They make their music over here and they can do one of those songs, or vocally you can strip it and put it on some dance, but I don't need her to get in the studio with chain smokers.
No. Come on. Give her some respect, bro.
We can just take her vocals and just put them over there like we've been doing already. And when she feels like it, she can make a song herself. But, we don't need her to have 5 of those. Take her vocals from this song over here. I
can get a little EP. I could live with a little EP, a little 5, 6 song EP of that. Yeah, of course.
I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah.
The song lyric wise that I wanted to highlight, and this is, even though I like her writing and I've always liked her writing, this is kind of my my gripe with her, is that there's not a through line in terms of the story or the theme or the content on this project. I think that would have done a better job of helping it be more cohesive, even though the production isn't. If there was at least some story or through line with what she's talking about, we could be like, okay, she's just telling this story in different ways. It's almost like, it's like 6 different Jorja Smiths on here.
Yes, I agree.
Going through 6 different things. So I think that is my gripe when it comes to the lyrics, but I do like the lyrics a lot. Now, on Too Many Times, in verse 1, she says, "This life ain't what you asked, as I thought out loud. I traveled far for this. Do you wonder why I still drown? And I hold my breath when I take a chance. You're too used to this now, when there's no air left. Well, who's pulling me up?" In the chorus, she goes on and says, I could tell that I'm missed. I'm surely damned, but that won't ever stop me. I've always had this crown, but they can only taste it now. I could tell in the midst. I'm surely down, but that won't ever stop me. I've always had this crown. They can only taste it now.
Mm-hmm.
Jorja Smith is in a very, very interesting spot. She really has one project out, like one full-length album.
Yeah, million singles though.
A couple of EPs before, big singles, big collaborations. Very famous in the UK, very famous worldwide. A lot of like die-hard fans. And
really,
bro,
I need to get.
This is Jorja Smith we're talking about here. Like, yeah,
I guess allegedly.
Like she didn't get that Drake album for no reason. Like she was, yeah. I guess like you who only know her from Drake is different, but like she's on the Drake album for a reason. She kind of worked her way to get there and built her buzz. So she's in a place now where it's a lot of like really nice shit talking.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I think and I think as well is like kind of reflecting on where she is now and how famous she is and how big she is as an artist. You know, this era, I'll say, of UK music was like Jorja Smith, Sam Smith, Disclosure. Like it was like people coming up at that time where it was like, okay, how big will they get? They're singing in bars right now. People love their voices. You know, we see what happened with Sam Smith.
Yeah.
Jorja is a star in her own right. And so I like that reflection of like, you know, this life isn't what you asked. As I thought out loud, I traveled far for this. Just kind of just everything she's put into, you know, her relationships, her work, her time, her career. So that in an album like this, I like because there's a lot of like heartbreak on here.
Yeah,
why'd you do this? You did me wrong. You did me dirty. This is definitely in that vein. Do not get it twisted. Like this is not like this is definitely a cousin of that. But I think just the way she puts it together, it makes it a little bit lighter than, you know, something that's like a real heartbreak song.
Yeah, I think that the theme of like a heartbreak or remembering me or like this melancholy sad girl breakup song songwriting works extremely well for her. I think that it's like we were talking about the through line. Like there isn't really like a storytelling through line. I think there's a thematic through line of the breakup, the situationship that the person kind of like is over it. The, you know, that zone.
How do you feel about that? Like, is that something that you're into, or you just don't? Does it like a wash over you? Like, if that's the theme of a project, how does that affect your listening? Because, you know, we've had past projects where, you know, someone like No Name, they heard politics, changed the way you looked at it. Someone like Doja Cat just heard online who looked at it. This is not any like outside anything, but does that theme affect how you listen to a project?
No, I think it's like totally fine. I think like heartbreak, breakups, situationships, that's extremely current R&B.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that it's relevant. I feel like, you know, music typically reflects like current reality. Yeah. And I feel like that is current reality for a lot of people. Like
100%.
Situationships, like breakups, heartbreak, all that type of stuff.
So the culture is.
That's where it's at. You know what I mean? So I think that she's just reflecting it. Just totally fine. I think that it sounds good too. I think her voice is able to embody that like soulfulness of sadness very well. I think that for songwriting, it's really interesting because I think her songs are like have that theme, but I never feel like there's particular lyrics or sections of the lyrics that stand out to me super like a lot for like, oh, this is excellent songwriting.
I can get that.
Or this is really cool songwriting. There's just like a lot of sequences. Like I just know what it's about all the time.
Yeah.
I know what the song is about all the time, which makes it like I gotta give her credit for that because there's definitely times where we're like, what the fuck is this song even about?
Yeah. She doesn't have any of that.
She never has that, right? But I wouldn't consider Jorja Smith like considering this album. Right. On this album, I don't think she's like, oh, this is wordsmith happening.
No,
right
I don't think
right. So. I don't think wordsmith's happening right here. I don't think it's like, oh, like crazy analogy or crazy, imagery. There's like no real imagery really, or there is some, but like not really that much.
Not that much.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So when I listen to her songs, it's kind of like very straightforward.
Yeah.
Right. So when I think about like, oh, we're highlighting the lyrics, I'm like, I don't really have that many lyrics to highlight because it's super straightforward.
Yeah.
Like,
very, very.
Usually when we comment on lyrics, they're like, yo, this sucks. Or like, can you believe that this happened? Or they said this. Or it's like, this is awesome. Like we did with the Olivia Rodrigo thing where we did like, the majority of it was like, yo, do you see this part? Do you see this part? Can you believe she said this? Can you believe she didn't say that? Right? That's not a thing for Jorja Smith's music. It's just like, very like, here, I'll even give you an example, right? There's like, this is on She Feels. I think this is like in the hook or the verse 1. She's like, will ever be us going back to basics? I'm tired of all the fake shit. Seen all your sides, your phrases, all your phases. It feels good to know. I know she feels good to know. Years going fast, the memories come back when I feel alone. Like, it's all right. Like
we've heard that before.
It's okay, but it's not like it's not egregious.
Yes, yeah.
But it's not exemplary. It's just like, okay.
I think how I would phrase it, for me at least, is that I'm not having her lose any points for her writing.
Yeah.
She's not there. We've had some people there. She's not there.
Losing points big time.
But she's not on the level where like, yeah, you guys got to hear what she's saying. You know?
Exactly.
So it's funny. The person I think I would compare it to lyrically, who's someone we like pseudo reviewed, is Black. Yes. When we did the Black album a little bit, is like, technically I know you're talking about your life and everything, but it just kind of washes into this place where it feels like I've heard this before. Yeah. And I always say the Eminem test is a true artist doesn't need to do a biography because who they are will be in their music. I didn't hear this and to be like, I know Jorja Smith now. That would be my one gripe with this is like, it's been 5 years. I don't feel like I know way more about Jorja Smith than I did before. This is very similar content-wise, to Lost and Found 5 years ago. Yeah. And so I think that is where she could do better as a lyricist because, talk about Cleo Soul who dropped the same day. You hear Cleo Soul's album now, you're like, okay, I see where you at.
Yeah, like, the next evolution of her life.
So I think with Jorja Smith, that's something we haven't seen in her lyrics of like, I feel like I just know her way better than I did before this album came out.
Yeah. But I do think that the crafting of the hooks are really good. I think that there's this one song, I'm trying to remember which one it was. It's not Little Things. It's the one, I'm trying to really remember. But it's basically just like a refrain, chorus, like there's a lot of repetition that happens in that song, which is like something I feel like is really good. Also like something that people kind of like stray from, like they don't want to do that. Yeah. Where it's too repetitive. Because you can get to a point where it's like, I've heard you're doing the same thing over and over in the same song, but it's working for her. Yeah. Right. And I think that even when it comes to like feelings, the song structure of that is very good. So, it's one of those. It's like, okay, I guess like it was working, but nothing that I can really be like, oh, this is so awesome.
Do you have anything else for lyrics for talk about like her career and, the album art?
Not really. I think J Hus's verse.
Hustler Baby.
Not the verse. The hook is great. I think I mentioned that before, but I want to say that again. Like, yeah. The J Hus part is actually so awesome, and I think that should explore that bag further.
Yes.
I would love to hear him feature on more things. With that voice, but it's kind of hard to really figure out where you're going with that. But they're artists, so we're gonna say that they can try and figure out a new place for that. It's like, for example, he's like, I know you got your reasons. I know you got your reasons. Yeah, I know the meaning. I know you're still healing, baby, but you're still appealing. Hope you didn't think I'm reaching. But I got feeling to the ceiling. And I'm still in my feelings, gal. Right? So it's still working, It sounds good.
No, he's right there.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. Right, like, I don't know. This is probably the first time in a while where I'm just like, lyrics are okay. Like they're just all right.
Yeah, I think her and J Hus are a good combo. Even the song they had on J Hus's album was good. One thing I wanted to point out, talking about like the overall of this project, is only 2 features.
Yeah.
She did so many features in between her project.
Yeah, she has every connection, bro. She could get anybody, really, kind of.
No, she could.
Yeah.
She can get anybody. And not that many features. I like that trend we've been seeing. I'm going to pay attention to it the last quarter of this year. But of seeing these bigger artists not be as feature heavy. You know, Doja Cat last week, no features.
No features, yeah.
You know, so I like to see these artists take a page out of J. Cole's book and just kind of, you know, do those. And it's crazy to think, you know, J. Cole now is the feature guy when he did features for like...
He's just dispensing them though.
5-6 years. So I like that trend of like these bigger artists, you know, staying to themselves, not have as many features. Even Kali Uchis behind you. Yeah. Not that many features on her project. So
yeah, she only had Don Toliver.
Yeah, I think that was 2001. And that was a single, right?
Don Toliver and Summer
Charlie?
Walker.
Is Charlie on that?
No.
Oh, Charlie's on Don's album.
Don Toliver, Summer Walker, and Omar Apollo. That's it.
Yeah. So I like that that's been the trend. And as well, talking about her career, she came in the game for a lot of people through Drake. Like people like yourself, that's how they heard of her. And so I think that your career takes a different tone off the rip when that's how people hear about you. Like it's just
really?
What it is.
Oh.
No, for sure, because when people hear about you from Drake, they don't always go back to listen, and their idea of like your career is based on whatever they hear right after that.
Yeah.
You know, I think of someone like Sampha, who has been putting out music before Drake, after Drake. I don't know how people are still listening to Sampha or who are aware of that, but that's a whole, you know, he's an example of that where people look at him through that Drake lens of, I liked too much. That's what I heard. I want to keep hearing that, you know? And so I think that's a part of how she's viewed. I think this ultimately is a help for her career. Like people have been waiting for Jorja Smith music for a long ass time. The people have been waiting and wanting. She has, you know, I think she has hits on here, you know, in terms of what I think is a hit.
Little Things, baby.
Little Things is out of here. Little Things is like, Little Things is bona fide. Like, you would have to be really, really fucked up to not make that a hit. Like,
you know, I heard the Little Things and Jin's Gypsy Woman remix. I thought that was a song, like a real, like a legit song. And then they did the mashup. And I'm like, yo, this thing sounds incredible. And I thought it was just like a TikTok mashup forever. And then I was like, oh, it's a real deal song. And then I actually heard Little Things on its own. And I'm like, this song still slaps.
Yep. Even slowed down to not this project, but the mashup they did of that was really good. So I think this ultimately helps her career because more hit music, more good songs. There's people like you who are learning new things about what she's capable of. And it's true. And it helps. You know, I think, like, again, Little Things may be the only song someone has from Jorja Smith on their phone or in their playlist, you know? But that still is helpful to her because people are getting more aware of her and what she's able to do musically. I think up until now, there's probably a large group of people who knew who she was but did not know her music. And I think that probably still is some people, but this album helps change that at least a little bit.
Yeah. I think that is going to be great for her too. I think that more Jorja Smith is just great. I think when you're
always,
I think when your last full length project comes out in 2018, people are starving. Ask the Cardi B fans. Okay, Cardi B fans are starving right now.
Will we ever do a Cardi B review on the
Cardi
show?
B is starving. Frank Ocean fans dying. Not even starving anymore. They're on the brink of death. So if you can get music out every 5 years, that'd be nice. Every 4, you know.
Yeah.
So regardless, even if it was trash, right? And there was maybe 1 or 2 tracks, at least we got the 1 or 2 tracks since 2018.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
So ultimately it's going to be good for her. I think songs like Little Things, songs like Feelings, where they're more expansive on her sound, are ultimately going to be very good as well. I think that she's making the wrong genre of music. You know what? Making the wrong genre of music is strong.
You just want more Little Things.
I feel as though she could be doing better things outside of the R&B genre. I think that she is.
She does them though.
That's no, but like a full length thing though, like actually committing to the bit. Actually commit to it like Drake committed to Honestly Nevermind. That's the type of thing. That's the type of thing.
I think we're gonna have to wait as long as we waited for. Honestly, never mind.
No, but I'm just saying, commit though.
Yeah.
Commit. And actually, like, I think she can do a house album. Seriously.
I know. I think she can too. I just don't think that's where her fans are. Like, and as well, like, I think people who like that more are people like you who are not like her traditional fans in the first place. So
yeah, but you could like.
You could do a mix of both, but it's it's like she's not dropping music that often to begin with.
That's true.
So it's like to this all of a sudden it's like I better drop music, guys. But by the way,
new house album.
See you, fans. Like, you know what I mean? So I do think that's part of it, and that's something I thought about with Steve Lacy, what he went through last year. Went through with his song blowing up on TikTok. And his fan base changing and their demographic and how he's viewed is like Steve Lacy was a talented musician making great music well before Bad Habits. And to see his fan base not kind of reflect what his music has been, I'm sure it's tough. So I think artists are kind of more protecting that now with their sound in terms of not doing as many features on their projects, doing the sounds that they're more comfortable with. So I think Jorja Smith fits into that. The cover,
I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, big fan.
It looks incredible. I like the markings on her skin. Looks incredible. It is in black and white, which is cool too.
Yeah.
But she sticks out a lot.
Yeah.
In the black and white, the black hair, but then also the markings on her skin. The dress is nice. Like, it looks good, bro. It's kind of hard to stand out with a black and white cover, but she's able to.
She does it. No, I think this cover is good. I think as well, like you talk about her visage, like that's important to her career in general. Like that's just it's what it is. No way around it. So I think how she has used that in terms of her actual artwork, another win. Because Lost and Found, she was on the cover. This it's on the cover again, and I think too that like the color scheme, like this is black and white for sure, but it has more of a silver tone to it than just being black and white. And I think that makes this cover more memorable in a sense. I think like if you have a cover that is a lot of one color, that is more helpful in a sense than the other way. So
that's true.
I think that, I don't know if she's Olivia Rodrigo in owning the color silver, black and white, but she ate with this one.
Well, she's only done one album with the color scheme, so we can't say that she's owning it. But she's gripped it.
True. Halfway there.
Yeah.
One more album.
And then like Olivia Rodrigo. She's one album away from silver being her color.
Oh my god.
And just totally dominating it. But I think it looks great. So now we're at the best part of the podcast. The score.
Yes.
Adriel, you go first. You go first before I start spouting my
vitriol?
Yeah. Vitriol. No. Vitriol is strong.
Okay.
But how do you feel about Falling or Flying by Jorja Smith?
Falling or Flying by Jorja Smith. That's a 7 for me out of 10. This is a good album. I think there are songs on here that I like a lot that I think have already been in my playlist. I'm already ready to play over and over. I've sent to people. But as a full project, I don't think this album is as strong. I think there's just a lot of strong moments which you can definitely pick out and be like, yo, listen to Little Things, listen to Falling or Flying. But as a full project cohesively, it's not there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit all over the place.
Not in no skips.
Not in no skips. It's not too long.
Yeah.
Which is great, 43 minutes. But 16 songs, that's the thing to me is like, if you're not going to make it long, cut down the songs. Because sometimes we don't need to hear every idea you had. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't always need that. So to me, it's a 7 out of 10. This album has potential, I think, to grow on me, but I would say it's unlikely because listening to this as a full project won't have the same energy, I don't think.
Yeah.
But still a good album.
Okay. So I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10 as well. But basically, I'm like, all the songs everybody doesn't like, I'm about those tracks. And all the songs that are really deep in the R&B bag, leave me out.
You just don't like R&B, man.
I do though. I do though. Yes, I do. You can't say that with I have the
Kali Uchis is not like. I'm not gonna say anything about Kali Uchis. I love that album. My favorite album of the year. So I'm gonna stop myself for.
That's what I'm saying. It's like probably even the best album of the year. I got the vinyl when it came out.
But Kali Uchis is not traditionally R&B. Like you had to put her in R&B because she's not necessarily pop.
Yeah.
But like she's not really R&B like that. So I think you have a little R&B beef.
I don't think
There's
so.
a little
I love the Weeknd is my favorite artist ever, guys.
But you love the Weeknd albums that are the least R&B.
Right. No, that's not true. House of Balloons, bro. Don't make me bring.
No, but you
don't make me bring. I will bring every week. I will start bringing Weeknd albums because I have them.
No, but you love the new shit though. A lot of Weeknd fans don't love the new.
I love the new and the old. I like House of Balloons, Thursday, Echoes of Silence.
No, you like it all.
And then I like the new stuff.
You like it
the
all.
The middle stuff was the weakest. Starboy, fucking
Beauty Behind the Madness.
That garbage.
Yes,
it actually sucked. Well, it didn't suck, but it was like a 5 out of 10.
Beauty Behind the Madness was borderline. Starboy was a little bit better.
Starboy I thought was not very good. But anyways,
yeah.
We're not talking about the Weeknd. We're talking about Jorja Smith. I think it's 7 out of 10. I like all of the tracks basically that are not strict R&B. I like Feelings. I like She Feels, Try Me, Little Things. That's like, for me, that's where the juice is. Like,
yeah.
Those tracks, and then we get to the bottom, like Backwards. I really like Backwards.
Yeah.
But those are all the tracks that are not traditional R&B tracks, right? So I think those, and Go Go Go, I like Go Go Go.
Yeah.
And I think I like Lately as well. So even though we're on different ends of the spectrum,
yes,
we both think it's good.
Yes, and
right,
good score.
Right, it's a good score. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 again. Good for trust us.
Yeah.
7 out of 10 is good for us. And I think that there's a lot of room for expansion. I think that there could be more Jorja Smith. I'm praying that just like how people are praying for the Drake R&B album.
Yeah,
I'm praying for the Jorja Smith house garage album. I'm looking for that.
An EP would be okay. I don't know if I need 16 of those, but
six
I would welcome for sure.
Okay.
I'm with you on that. Please in the comments, let us know what your score is. I want to know what the real Jorja Smith fans out there. Let me know what you thought about this. I think these are some of my most favorite albums to review because there's so much time in between the two projects. I think when there's so much time between the two projects, it's like anything could happen. You know, it's just like they could become more famous, less famous. They're on the chopping block. Like there's so many variables when it's been such a long time. So I always like to review an album like this. For anyone who's looking to, follow us, find us on the interwebs at Album Mode Pod on Twitter, at Album Mode Pod on Instagram, at Album Mode Pod on TikTok, of course. Subscribe to the podcast. I know we look great on this video, but this is still a podcast. Subscribe to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Leave us a rating and a review, not a single, 5 stars, 5 stars, not a single star less. I want to see more reviews. To all the people out there listening, please leave us a rating and a review. That's how we get up those rankings. You want to see Album Mode in that top 10, top 20, top 50?
Yeah.
Reviews is how we get there. Please leave us a rating and a review. 5 stars, not a single star less. And of course, on YouTube, see these beautiful melanated faces on your YouTubes. That's at Album Mode on YouTube, of course. Until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later, people.